Hello BookTube, Books with Banks back again with yet another video for you today. Today I'm going to kind of wing a review, and so what we're talking about here, and you've probably already saw from the title, is that I just burned through pretty quickly the first 3 volumes of Kentaro Miura's Berserk manga. And please, if I'm not pronouncing that name right, please let me know down in the comments. Also, if I get anything wrong about manga, if I use terms, wrong, I'm very, very new to this format, or if I've maybe missed something in these books because I'm so new to this format, please let me know any of that down below. Actually, kind of along those lines, before we get too far into this, if you're interested in seeing me get a little bit more experienced with manga, get further into specifically Berserk, I'm also thinking about maybe reading Vinland Saga. If you're interested in any of that and you haven't already, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe. But for today, all that said, all that out of the way, I'm going to kind of be doing a vague-ish review of my general feelings on these first 3 volumes, which comprise a little bit more than the first story arc of Berserk. From my understanding, there are 5 arcs. The 5th, sadly, was never finished. However, I've heard, people love different arcs for so many different reasons. This first arc, it's Volume 1 kicks it off, Volume 2 continues it, and then Volume 3 features the majority of this volume concludes that arc, but there is one chapter right at the end here that is, I guess, the first chapter of the next arc. And so this first arc, I guess, is called the Black Swordsman arc. The next one that I've just read the first chapter of at the end of Volume 3 here, that next one is going to be called the Golden Age? Yeah, the Golden Age arc. So, what did I think? I enjoyed it. I think on my Goodreads, and now I don't do stars too much, but I do kind of want to, just because I might burn through these volumes pretty quickly, so I might use the star system on Goodreads to kind of gauge, sort of in a bar graph kind of way, or a line graph kind of way, where my interest peaked and where the valleys were. I gave Volume 1 2 stars, and I gave both of these 3 stars, Volume 2 and 3 stars. I was considering giving Volume 3 4 stars, and I'll get a little more into that now. So, basically, if you're not familiar, this is kind of like from what I understand, it does kind of drop us in medias res. I don't know if I got my Latin right there, but fingers crossed, the Latin police aren't gonna come get me. Yeah, so this drops us kind of in the middle of the whole situation, whatever's going on, and it's a fantasy setting, very medieval, very dark, very kind of violent times, and I don't know if it's not necessarily apocalyptic, but there are a lot of lords and nobles and stuff that are cannibals, and maybe they're sworn, or they're worshippers of the God Hand, which you meet in this first arc, a collection of 5 kind of grotesque and fascinating god sort of beings, and and so all of these kind of cannibal priests and worshippers and members of the nobility down on the planet, they're all they're gross, and I think it's all just really kind of just about injustice and how the poor people the impoverished people are faring so poorly, and how the nobility is so corrupt and so dirty and disgusting and vile, and any other synonyms for all that. And then you have this kind of anti-hero, Guts, who is depicted on covers. I guess he's on all of these, but he's kind of underneath that thing he just killed there. But these are good, I think, depictions of him here. He's this anti-hero, and he has this really fast shooting, loading like crossbow thing. Also, it has like a cannon, or like his arm itself, if he takes the crossbow off, it has some kind of like light cannon blast thing that he can use. And he has a massive sword, and they constantly talk about how big his sword is. And yeah, so he just goes around slaying monsters, slaying lords, but there's also some interesting commentary. Something I really like so far is there's this idea of, okay, you can take out all of these nobles and stuff, but like, how many innocent civilians are dying in your warpath? And apparently he's on a quest for revenge. Now, exactly why or what led up to him being on this path for revenge, I'm not sure. I'm hoping to find out in the next arc a little bit more about that. And there's hints about like who one of the God Hand lady, or like a character in the God Hand is. There's kind of like these sprinklings of things might like it's the kind of the seed of an idea in my head, and so I think if any of that starts to pay off in the next arc, then I think that will have been really well done. But yeah, so Guts is going around killing monsters, killing the nobility, and not really caring what innocents, what peasants get in the way or die because they got in the way. He's like, oh, well, if they were stronger, they wouldn't have gotten in the way. That's kind of his attitude, which is a little jarring and ugly to, like, an ugly way to, a very cynical, dark way to view the world, but it's a very, very dark world. He has a small kind of, think like Tinkerbell-ish elf friend named Puck, who at first I thought was really annoying, but then I think I started to understand more like the narrative like use of her, or at least the character development use of I can't remember if Puck is a boy or a girl. It might just be non-gendered, which I think that's interesting in and of itself. But Guts hates elves, and that's what these are, these like kind of Tinkerbell things. And but Puck always keeps showing up, and Puck can heal Guts whenever he gets hurt fighting his big bad monsters. And then Puck is like super compassionate and just wants everything to be nice and not so gory and not so the world to not be such a horrible, hideous place. Whereas Guts is kind of just resigned to the world being that way, and he's just gonna kill the worst things in the world. Kind of owning up to the fact that he's not a great person. He's not a great part of the world either, necessarily. So yeah, their dynamic, at first I found it a little grating, a little annoying. It really, I mean, by the end of Volume 3, I was like, okay, no, this is really, really good. If there's sections where they're not together, I start to kind of miss their banter a little bit. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, those are the main characters I wanted to talk about. They're really the only two that show up. I mean, so I guess I'll use this chance to go into the structure kind of idea. So Arc 1, spread across these 3 volumes. We have the first 2 chapters here are kind of 2 short stories, sort of just different monster things that Guts has to deal with. His first kind of 2 encounters with this Puck elf friend of his, or companion of his, and really dark, kind of gory, violent short story things. Then, the last chapter in this, 2 large chapters that make up Volume 2, and then the first 3 or 4 chapters in Volume 3. That's the 6 chapters of this one storyline called The Guardians of Desire. And it is definitely the best kind of thing, I think, about this first arc, this Black Swordsman arc. It's obviously the majority of it, and I think it's just nice getting to stay in one city, one location long enough to kind of get to learn about some secondary characters a little more before they die. I mean, a lot of people, if you meet people in these books, they're typically just wind up dead. But yeah, so with the spread across 6 different chapters, spread across 3 volumes, this storyline within the Black Swordsman arc, this Guardians of Desire storyline, all set in the same city, same orbiting kind of secondary, tertiary characters. That was really, really good stuff. That's the storyline also where near the end of it we get a better introduction of who this God Hand is. There's a little more world building work done in that story. There's this really cool like egg head or egg kind of key thing, but it's got like parts of a face like all over and weird different parts of it. And I thought the artistic design there was super cool. There's also a guy takes kind of his demon essence and puts it into one of his generals that just wants revenge, and it's this massive kind of like slug thing that comes out of his mouth and like goes into the other guy. It's so grotesque, but it like having it spread across a little bit more pages, more volumes. That specific setting, that specific adventure Guts was on, I found that a lot more engaging than the first kind of quick 1-2 punch of those introductory chapters. So I think before I ramble too much longer, that's kind of how I feel about Berserk now. I am really, really excited to get into the Golden Age arc, especially with how Volume 3 ended. The last chapter here being the first chapter of the Golden Age. I hope that it follows that same. It's basically a flashback, and I hope that a lot of the Golden Age storyline is like that. I want to know more about what's made Guts so jaded. I want to know more details about his revenge quest, why he hates the God Hand, how he's got this brand on him that draws demonic powers attention to him. I just want to know. I want all of that filled in. Black Swordsman arc got the intrigue. It was definitely there. Just no answers yet, really, and just more and more questions. The characters definitely did start to grow on me. All that said, so far I'm enjoying Berserk quite a bit, and I'm enjoying manga quite a bit. It also, the like whole right to left thing, like after a chapter or two, I didn't really even notice. Like it wasn't, knowing which panel to go to next. Like that's not. If anyone out there is hesitant to start manga because of that stuff, everyone's like kind of reading adaptability to different formats might be different, but I definitely did not struggle with it nearly as much as I was worried that I would. All that said, Berserk, Black Swordsman arc, or basically volumes 1 through 3. Loved it. Can't wait to read more. Thank you so much. Thank you as always for watching. Have a great day. Bye.